And now, in a tough message to the world, External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar, ahead of the Quad Foreign Ministerial meeting in Washington, D.C., said that the world must display zero tolerance towards terrorism. Jaishankar's remarks in the US come against the backdrop of India's recently concluded global outreach program on Operation Sindoor, a military action launched against the April 22 Pahalgam terrorist attack that took place in Jammu and Kashmir. External Affairs Minister Dr. S Jaishankar is also meeting US Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth at the Pentagon. Let's also listen into what he said.
Quad is about deepening our convergence and expanding our common ground. I value our consultations on different dimensions of the Indo-Pacific in that regard. A lot is happening in the world, and I'm sure that our exchange of views will be very valuable for all of us. A word about terrorism in the light of our recent experience. The world must display zero tolerance. Victims and perpetrators must never be equated. And India has every right to defend its people against terrorism, and we will exercise that right. We expect our Quad partners to understand and appreciate that.
And now let's go across to Washington, D.C., from where Dr. Nee Quate is also joining me on the broadcast now. Dr. Quate, how do you see India's presence at the Quad summit?
Well, I think, India is a very important player in the world and a very important partner to the United States, one of the biggest economies in the world. And so when we think about some of the efforts that have been afoot, led by the Trump administration, using tactics like, putting tariffs on foreign countries' products, their goods and products coming into the United States. India is a major player. And so I think, the global community will be watching.
Absolutely. Dr. Quate, do stay with me. We also have more news coming in from the United States. The US Senate has narrowly passed Donald Trump's flagship One Big Beautiful Bill, a sweeping tax and spending proposal, with Vice President J.D. Vance casting the tie-breaking vote. The legislation, which makes Trump-era tax cuts permanent while slashing welfare programs, now heads back to the House. But the bill faces stiff resistance from Democrats, fiscal conservatives, and even Trump's own ally, Elon Musk. You heard and watched that Twitter spat which broke out just after this big, beautiful bill was tabled. Now Elon Musk is also threatening to launch his own party. Now, with a self-imposed July 4th deadline looming, Trump's signature agenda remains on a shaky ground. Let's also cut across to Washington, D.C. with my colleague, Dr. Nee Quate. Thank you so much for staying with me. Dr. Quate, do tell us about the House proceedings that took place and how the bill was passed.
Yes, well, the bill was passed just this afternoon by the Republican-controlled United States Senate. They were able to pass the bill with Vice President J.D. Vance casting the tie-breaking vote. We know that there were a number of Republicans that had been holdouts. They've been holdouts on this bill. You mentioned that it was on shaky grounds. It was on shaky grounds in parts because it didn't have the votes until this afternoon. But yet and still, 47 Democrats voted against this bill. No surprise there. But Senators Rand Paul of Kentucky, Senator Tom Tillis of North Carolina, and Senator Susan Collins of Maine, all Republicans, voted no. Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska was sort of the last holdout, the last hope that Democrats and opponents of the so-called beautiful bill had to keep this bill from passage. And because of carve-outs in the bill for the people of Alaska, that was enough to apparently persuade Senator Murkowski to cast a vote for the bill. And so now it heads to the U.S. House of Representatives, where Speaker Johnson is trying very hard to pass this bill by the self-imposed 4th of July holiday.
Right. Thank you so much, Dr. Quate, for joining us and giving us a good viewpoint about what to expect and how turbulent time it is for Mr. Trump in the United States back at home. Thank you so much, Dr. Quate, for joining us.